So one of the main ways that I've experienced freedom from all the inner suffering that so many of us experience has come from making peace with the unknown, allowing the unknown to be what it is, the unknown. See, in our minds, we get so caught up in trying to know the unknowable. And so there's a lot of resistance and tension and stress that gets built up, and that's when we experience the suffering. But when we allow the unknown to just be the unknown, and we allow the future to be what it is, illusory, then in the absence of that, in the absence of the fixation on the future or the unknown, there's nothing but presence. And for me, what I discovered was that my soul longs for presence, present moment awareness. And when I'm living from present moment awareness, I don't experience the anxiety, the fear, the worry, the insecurity, the what ifs, because I'm just being with what is. And that's how we were designed to be. We were designed to live from present moment awareness because that's reality. That's what is. The past and the future don't actually exist. They are mental constructs that we use, or that the mind uses to interpret this one eternal now moment. So, making peace with the unknown dissolves so much of the suffering. I remember I used to be big into theology. I used to love studying theology, and I thought that I could figure out God by reading a bunch of books and quoting verses and stuff, which is kind of comical now looking back at it, to think that my finite mind could somehow understand the infinite. And by the way, I apologize for my voice. I'm a little under the weather. But anyway, I remember, growing up, big into theology, studied it in college, thought that that was like my purpose here on earth, was to figure out God, figure out the ultimate mystery. And eventually what that led to was a lot of frustration and a lot of confusion, because I had spent so much time doing my own research and reading a bunch of books and talking with theologians and scholars, and I would talk to 10 different experts on God, 10 different theologians, and they would tell me 10 different things, stuff like that, like all the time. And I realized that the more I lived in my headspace and the more I lived from needing to figure it all out, existence and the future and the afterlife and God and all these things, the more I experienced this inner chaos. It felt like I was just all over the place. It didn't feel grounded. It didn't feel centered. It didn't feel safe. Yeah. I felt a disconnect within myself. But I remember one of the biggest moments of liberation and peace came from, I was sitting in my office one day, and I had been meditating for a while, so I was starting to see things from a different perspective, and I was letting go and giving up my need to know about God and this and that and the other. And I remember leaning back in my chair one day and proudly saying, I don't know. And when I said those 3 words, I felt this peace arise from the center of my being right here. And it was a peace that surpassed all of my understanding and what I thought I knew. And it changed me. It really did. Because what I realized in that moment was that true abundance has nothing to do with what we have or how much money is in our bank account. True abundance is waking up in the morning and having that peace in the center of your being. So I felt truly abundant really for the first time in my life in that moment. And the amount of clarity, the amount of awareness that started to arise naturally in that moment was absolutely profound. And the suffering went like this. It just decreased. It dissipated. Why? Because I wasn't fighting. I wasn't resisting. I wasn't trying to figure it all out anymore. And what I saw in that moment was that all of the suffering that had built up throughout the years, which by the way turned into like stagnant energy in my body, which took some time working through and allowing it to pass and stuff, all that suffering was not actually coming from me not knowing. I thought it was that. I thought it was, oh, I'm suffering, or I'm afraid, or I'm anxious because I don't know and I need to know. The reality of it was that the suffering was coming from my resistance to not knowing, not the not knowing itself. Because again, it's impossible to know the unknowable. So it wasn't the not knowing, it was my resistance to it. But the moment I made peace with it, the moment I said, hey, this is reality, I'm seeing clearly. Once you see, you can't unsee. You take that deep breath, and then all of a sudden, here we go. The peace that you were thinking you would get when you figured it out, when you knew, comes when you let go of your need to know. Ironically, that's what happened for me. Again, when I sat back in my chair, I leaned back like this. I took a deep breath and I said, I don't know. And it felt so liberating and free. That was the beginning of true peace that surpasses all understanding arising within me, genuinely at the center of my being. And fear dissipated in that moment. And then the next thing that happened was I started to taste a different kind of knowing, because again, the knowing that I've been referring to up until this point in the video is more of that intellectual knowing, analytical knowing, knowing of the thinking mind. When the need for all of that, especially when it pertains to the future, is released, is let go of, and you experience that peace that is found only in the present moment at the center of your being, that leads you into a deeper kind of knowing that the mystics refer to as experiential knowing. So now you start to know things about the mysteries of the universe, but it's not a intellectual knowing. It's a knowing that comes from experience, because we were not meant to understand the mysteries of the universe on the level of the mind. We were meant to experience the mysteries of the universe. And that is what leads us to connection and peace and groundedness and joy and love and light and beauty. And now all of a sudden we have this deep reverence for the human experience, and it changes how we see everything. So freedom is something that is always right here, right now. You don't have to attain it. You don't have to go out and search for it. You don't have to outsource it. You are the freedom that you seek. The mind creates this veil, creates clouds that prevent us from seeing that, and we get so lost and attached to these different ideas that have to do with the future or the past, which are illusory in nature. But when those clouds clear out, all that's left is the now, the naked now, the eternal now. And you can take a deep breath and the nervous system responds, and you can relax and enjoy and experience. So, simple message, but it will change your life. And that's all I have for today. So, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.